Islam Moor.
Islam family.
For the record, I'm Grand Chief Pedro Ottawa L. in Brooklyn, Minnesota. Before the members of the Moor Science Temple of America and our mediator for the hearing with regard to the charges of impersonating an official of the Moor Science Temple of America, charging for services that are free from the Moor Science Temple of America, and insubordination. Islam.
I'm Temple Bay. I'm the chairman of the Grand Chief, chairman of the Moor Science Temple of America in Canaanland. Therefore, I'm a representative of the Grand Body, as well as witness within the active chamber of the Moor Science Temple of America in Canaanland. And therefore, my words are your words, my ears are your ears, and my judgment is your judgment. Islam.
Islam.
Put yourself on the record, Brother Sepinor.
Islam.
The first exhibit that...
Hold on. So just one of the things I think is important, maybe what they would do in this other tribunals, I should go and at least take a look around, maybe just to make sure he's not in the building, just quickly.
Well, that's what Mufti is doing at the moment.
All right, I mean, they would go and canvass to see if maybe Camry's standing out, no?
This ain't those tribunals.
All right,
Islam, I bear witness that Grand Mufti is at the door, on the lookout for the defendant if he arrives. However, it's 11:11. It's 11:15 presently. The defendant was notified to be here at 11 o'clock sharp and is not present. Therefore, we are going to commence with
Proceeding.
Islam.
Islam.
The first exhibit is different emails and messages from individuals who were sold papers, nationality papers, judicial proclamation papers by Camry Albay, namely one Stephen Ainsworth, two Lisa Adele Naomi Albay, three Supreme Ruler L.
So what was the second name? Lisa what?
Lisa Adele, Adele, Naomi Albay,
Nyoma.
Naomi
Naomi. J. And the third one?
Albay, Supreme L.
Okay.
Also,
These are emails, right?
yeah, the first two are emails, or the first three are emails. Stephen Ainsworth email, Lisa Adele Naomi Albay email, and Supreme L email.
All right.
And then we also have text messages between Camry Albay and Naomi Albay. And lastly, email from or between Justine Monroe and Camry Albay. And in the exhibit 1, we have the email addresses of the individuals who were in the email, and all the content of the emails. So we're just going to give that to the body to look at as the first exhibit, and you can pass that around.
And they will be entered into our archives and be there for further review if anyone needs to see them, right?
The reason why those particular ones were chosen is because those were the individuals that stepped up and said when we put the email out for evidence with regard to things that transpired with regard to the charges, these were the individuals that sent their testimony. The second exhibit that we have is one of the pages of voluntary relinquishment of presumed corporate citizenship status for Brother Tariq Elbay. And this is going into evidence to show that Camry Elbay was utilizing, quote unquote, the Moorish law firm as a notary public and using the seal of the Moorish Divine National Movement, that the jurisdiction of the seal is only under the secretary. Only the secretary is supposed to have the seals, only the secretary is supposed to utilize the seals. And we're just going to enter this as well as Exhibit 2 to the body of the Moorish Science Temple. Exhibit 3.
Hold on. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, go ahead.
Exhibit 3 is the judicial proclamation and formal oath of renunciation for Justine Monroe, who, upon meeting this individual, we found out that she's of Portuguese descent, which means that she does not have the authority to proclaim her nationality as Moorish American, being of Portuguese descent. As well,
So Justine or Lisa, you said?
Justine. This paperwork is executed and signed as of 2012, which in 2012 there was no law department that Cameron Elbay was head of. So, obviously the dates are post-dated. Another thing that we want to acknowledge on this is the use of a different seal, a seal that has the Great Seal pyramid on it, and it says Ab Antiquio on the top. Again, voluntary relinquishment of presumed corporate citizenship status in the name of Justine Queen Alday. Again, someone of Portuguese descent being authorized to proclaim nationality when they should be naturalized. And contrary to the voluntary relinquishment of presumed corporate citizen status for Tariq's paperwork, this paperwork is saying the notary public is the Moorish law department, not the Moorish law firm. So this is a different jurisdiction. Claim of right, revocation of power of attorney. Once again, the jurat subscribed and sworn by Cameron Elbay as Moorish law department, not Moorish law firm. And again, utilizing the created seal with the pyramid on it called Ab Antiquio.
Are you also including the fact that the law firm, law department?
That was going to Special firm subscribed, sealed, and affirmed before me the 20th day, December 2015, signed by Canberra LB as notary public with a commission expiring in 2018, utilizing the same seal with the Great Seal Pyramid with Ab Antiquo on it, and this one is coming from the Moorish Law Office, not the Moorish Law Department or the Moorish Law Firm.
What is it? Suppose?
Moorish Law Department. Or this one is our Moorish Law Office. Another witness page for signed by Canberra LB with the Ab Antiquo seal, the created seal by Canberra LB that the Moorish Science Temple of America does not utilize as its seal. And this paperwork has Canberra LB as a witness and no witness supporting his signature, just his signature.
Is that something like that?
We also have paperwork again for Justine Queen Alve, dated October 2014, signed by Canberra. Justine Alve.
Queen
Justine Queen Alve.
EL, right?
ALVEY.
So the lastly there?
2014, October 10th is the signing date. And it's signed by Canberra LB. And it's also signed by someone else that the name can't be made up. And it also has the seal that the Moorish Science Temple of America does not utilize, with the Great Seal Pyramid on it, with above the seal written Ab Antiquo. Another thing that we want to point out with regard to Exhibit 3 is that all the paperwork is clearly 8.5 by 11 paper imposed on legal paper. So you would, if you go through the page, you would see that in the middle of the page you have, for example, the page number.
8.5 by what? 8.5 by 11?
8.5 by 11 imposed on legal size.
Pasted it on.
Paste it on for whatever it is. You can tell that it's not quality paper that we would utilize as someone's proclamation papers.
Well, in essence, it's not lawful what has been presented.
And I submit Exhibit 3.
Oh, wait, can you take the exhibit, can you put the,
But when it comes, we could bring that on.
no, I just want to have the seal, just put like the seal, the look of the seal right on that for, because if it goes on thing, people, if they see that, then.
Yeah. I'm Kudrabula, you before, Islam.
Islam.
And Temple Bay.
Islam.
I have evidence here which comprises added meeting notes starting May 25th, 2014. And in these notes, you have Canberra L. Bay present in a number of meetings. He's present for the law department being put under his care. He's present for the law department being questioned and being temporarily brought under my authority as chairman, which is your authority. And that is on July 5th, 2015. Following that, his presence...
July what? Sorry, July what? July 5th?
July 5th, 2015. Presence drops off following that. However, in the evidences in exhibits 2 and 3, we see that up until December 2015, he was conducting activity under the auspices of an indigenous law firm or a Moorish law firm or a Moorish law department, etc., and taking funds for that activity. Do I have authority to put this in the hands of the general membership? No. There's a...
Right now, we want to call anybody who wants to testify with regard to any activities that have taken place between them and Cameron. They could now step forth or forever hold their peace. Did you ready to give a testimony?
Like a witness? Like a witness?
Yeah, any witnesses?
So in other words, any injured party in regards to the matter. So you so you could go and give your...
Let's put your name on the record, affirm, and just speak loud enough so the speaker can
Islam Buddha L, also known as Greg Ashabaz Bey. I affirm to tell the truth. I've already written my testimonial. It's a simple case as when I was coming into this information. The first one that I was introduced to was Cameron. At the time he was conducting like a little get-together at Little Teresa's house. Like I said in my testimonial, I was a previous 5%er, so the information that they were speaking on interested me, so I thought I'd give it a listen.
Just to question, the same Tariq who, same paperwork?
Yes.
All right.
So I thought I'd give it a listen. During that process of him breaking down certain sciences, what piqued my interest was the fact that there was a nationality card and the fact that brothers were tax exempt based on being Aboriginal and Indigenous. So at the time, I had asked Camry what was the process that needed to be done in order for me to proclaim my nationality. He told me that certain paperwork needed to be filled out and they needed to be sealed and what have you. I asked him if there was a charge related to that. He told me the charge was $100 for him to come up with the paperwork and get them all signed and sealed. So at that point I told him, okay, $100, I'm good with that. And this, like I said, this was before I was well studied. And at that moment I took out a $100 crisp, $100 plastic bill and
Fiat note.
and gave it to the brother. He accepted it kindly. And throughout the process, it was probably about 3 weeks before I was given the paperwork that he created. And I also sent an attachment of the paperwork that I've gotten that he emailed me, because I wanted a copy of the email for him, where he didn't put the appellation in its correct order. I emailed those to everybody, and I stand as a witness to testify that that happened. Islam.
Islam.
I firmly tell the truth, nothing but the truth. Cameron Bay, like my brother Supreme was saying, Cameron Bay came down to Hamilton to show us a little bit more on the Moorish culture, to break down some wasn't 100% sure on everything in regards of fiat. I was just learning, you know, we were just babies just walking in this information. And I guess from the knowledge where Cam was coming from, he understood that he needed some sort of higher power, so he took advantage of me, Supreme, and myself's misunderstanding. So he did you know, take some fiat from us. I want every Moor that's watching this information to if you're having any problems in regards of somebody asking for fiat, you should get a hold of Brother Cujo or Amari or our temple, so you could get the real gist of what this information is about, because this is not what the information is about. It's not about extracting or taking fiat from people to go uplifting fallen humanity. So Islam.
Here is the seal. Can't really be seen.
I firmly tell the truth and nothing but the truth. I got introduced to Camry when Brampton Cujo came to Hamilton for the first time to do a lecture. Brother Tyreek and I were first, we're the only Moors in Hamilton getting on this information. Brother Cujo, Brampton Cujo brought down Camry and Mari and Brother Omar to the lecture for Camry to open up the crystal, and that's how I got introduced to Camry. And I liked how he was talking about energies and how there's different energies. So he got me up. That's what I liked.
So just a question from the body. So it was after we had come down on that first, I guess our first visit there at that community center that this happened, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, like
This was in 2000.
15? 15?
No, 14.
Was it 14?
2014 was around that time. It was like summertime. When Cujo at that time after the lecture, Cam, took my contact information down. And he showed me some pieces of ID that he had on him. One was the Washington nationality card, and one was the Moorish nationality card. So it kind of sparked my interest.
Was that mine?
That was your.
That was.
Oh,
Yeah, he had one too. He had one too. Yeah.
from the Washita?
Yeah.
No.
No, it isn't. I remember it. It was just Amari,
Yeah.
and I don't even think who
No,
knows.
it's
It's just Amari.
Okay.
Maybe you did something wrong.
I could have sworn my eyes seen him with that, but that's what sparked my interest. Before even getting to finding out that there was a temple in Brampton, that's who I was contacting with. Mr. Cujo, but Cam was, me and Cam were building every day now, and that's how I got into, he felt me out, man knows not by being told, but I was being told a lot of things, and I liked what he was telling me, and I showed him, listen guys, you need to come down here, because we need to build on this, and I showed him Tyreek, and that's when the same day Tyreek and Supreme had free time to come over to Brother Tyreek's house, and we had all met up there, and we were just there building and whatnot, and it got to the point where, he was showing me the paperwork and whatnot, and he was showing me the claim of right that he had done for me and whatnot. It was just all good times, and we're all laughing fun,
Mm-hmm.
But like how Tyreek and Supreme was saying, if we had done our research and called Cujo to see if the paperwork was free, or what's going on with the paperwork. But I was going off from judgment of Brother Brampton Cujo brought down another Moor to open up the class, so that's what I was going off that I was trusting that, So then, long story short, any more watching this, for future reference, go to a temple that, that Moors, trust, and, not just any other person, so-called person claiming to be a Moor that Fez on, And that's how I have to say that.
Islam.
Just want to also add to the record that if you follow the money trail, you'll see that it started out at $100 between Supreme, Tariq, and Brother Rennie. And by the time you get to Justine Monroe, we're into thousands of dollars for the same paperwork. Right? And again, to put on the record that our practice as Moor Science Temple of America is to make sure that the people study in order to get the information. We never ever, ever since 2008, when we started the temple out here, we've never ever had the practice of selling anything with regard to noble duality, nationality, birthright, or anything like that. Whether we don't even sell Holy Quran and one-on-one questionnaires. We don't even sell those because of how we were taught by the Moors that brought us into this. And one of the things that we were taught is that you cannot take an opportunist approach with this information on people who are ignorant of this information. And as soon as you violate that, you violate the principles that were laid down by individuality, and then you violate the trust in the people, because our position is to be trustees of the people. And if the people can't trust the trustees, then obviously they're not going to support the activity that we're doing here.
As well as speak up from that, nationality isn't for sale. Never has been.
Again, I'm Tucker Bay, and I'd just like to say that being in the adult chamber, meeting Cameron, I wasn't aware of his activity, nor do I believe that any of the other adults were aware of his activity prior to him coming in or during his time there, up until a point when I think for me was when I heard about from Supreme his testimony. At which point we did not jump to any conclusions, but we tried to be as fair and objective as possible. I discussed with Supreme, I discussed with Camry, and I made sure and I made clear to Camry that we do not engage in the activity of selling these paperwork. And I made that clear to him in 2015. And when I felt that and when I realized that that message was not getting clear to him, that is when I closed down the law department according to Act 1. Right? So that, again, that's my authority that comes from you all.
Well, I think it also, just because I, Omar Sharif Al-Bey, have been part of this, part of what we follow too was the administrative handbook, which there are certain protocols that charges have to be put out in written form. The accuser has a chance to confront his, the accused has a chance to confront his accuser. This is why this is here. But even before that, we continued because we're trying to follow by the principles. We initially allowed, because there were whispers in the wind, and what we tried to do was still give him the benefit of the doubt, and that is where we then put an oversight situation in to try and sort of what would it be, to sort of offset this type of activity. I think there are certain things that we have to sort of put on the record. At that juncture, Camray was totally adamant about not having anyone watch over him. So these things I think need to be put out there, because we're about truth, love, peace, freedom, and all of those principles. And it needs to be said that we're not out here looking, this isn't a witch hunt. This is us finally at the end of a long process, year and a half of him ripping people off, for lack of a better word. And they called out for trial, and here trial is, and here the seats are. All right, so I just want, I think that stuff has to be put out there. We shut down the law department whenever it was shut down, and Camry continued on beyond that. So there's an absolute disregard for this. And then to follow up with that, also, this is government right here. This is our regency. He also had no respect for that. He also called Setnara another Moor outside of this jurisdiction to sort of circumnavigate us, trump us. And that is why we have Setenra on the phone here too. So that needs to be noted too. Setenra, we were supposed to have a Skype here with Setenra, but we couldn't get the password due to some other nonsense. But all of this has to be put out there. This is not us just sort of summarily trying to haul up a brother. We're trying to stop this injustice, and we're trying to put it out there into the ethers. So I think that that needs to be put out there. That's all the stuff behind the scenes. There's months and months of this stuff that we've been dealing with this crap about, culminating in someone being taken for $6,000 or $7,000. Absolute madness. And then the stuff being, every paperwork that he has created has been fraudulently done. As well as at the end of this, he's now trying to authenticate the birth certificate, which is absolutely another totally erroneous way to deal with this. So I just want to put that out to the grand body, that what you're sort of seeing here is just sort of the tip of the iceberg. And as I said, we've called this brother out. This brother's been calling us out to have trial, calling us out to have another body outside of us because he doesn't respect us. And we've created all of that. And here the seat is. And here, and this is the respect he has for this. Islam. So I think too, at the end of this, there should be I guess the next steps, I don't know.
Well, the next step is a voting.
So just to clarify one before we.
Yeah, maybe you should read in.
The final charge of insubordination comes from the fact that in July 2015, or in the summer of 2015, again, like I said, I spoke with Cameron and I told him that that kind of activity is not done in Canaanland, and that I don't know whether it's true or not, but in order to verify it, I'm going to have to work with the law department. And not only that, but that in the future, I ultimately will have to work with every department on your behalf.
And that, just to interject on that note, that was done so that it was understood that this wasn't singling anyone out. We were understanding that there was an issue. And we had other issues in other departments. So it wasn't just Camry. It was every department was going to then have a check and balance.
Yes.
Because what we understood was that there seemed to be some stuff that was going on, and that possibly the people that were running these departments weren't doing things, whether intentionally or unintentionally, to the best benefit of this nation.
Islam. And so,
And just one more interject, and I just want to state this just so that you understand this. Part of his response to charging for paperwork was he was talking about it being his time and the paperwork that needed to be spent. But we, of course, also profess that none of that comes out of our pocket out of love. But this is just to give you some of the back and forth that were going on there.
Okay.
Islam. And so, as far as insubordination, the charge of insubordination, this comes from our laws, our divine constitution, Act 1. And I'll read that into record. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science is empowered to make law and enforce the laws, the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body, that's you, of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. So that's Act 1, and according to many documents, we see that Act 1 is the first act, and the following acts are the bylaws. And that is your divine constitution. That is your law, your highest law to live in this life. There is no optional way of coming under that law. That's the law. It's not actually a democracy. It's not even really a republic until you make it that. And you have to bring in further laws. As it says that you are here, you are to assist the chairman and the Grand Sheikh to make and enforce the laws. And so we'll discuss further on that in the meeting. But I just wanted to clarify that charge in regards to me speaking directly to Cameron In the future, obviously, things have to be written down and documented and shared with the grand body. But those were conversations that we had personally, directly. And so he was well aware of my position. He was well aware of the position of all of us in Canaanland, and he refused and he denied our reporting. And therefore we broke Act 1 in my subject.
Islam, we ask that the mediator intervene and state their position for the record.
Islam.
Hold on one second, let me plug you in one second. Go ahead, Mark.
You hear me clearly?
Yes.
Wow, I got a list on the record, for the record. I had two section right there. I already had it from MSTA. I've taken quite a bit of note here today. I think that it was stated that the defendant was notified he had to be present at 11 sharp and did not go.
Correct.
Well, there's a ridiculous amount of evidence and proof to support his motivation and for Cameron fraudulent action. In my honest and humble opinion, what happened was moment of acquiescence. Whatever sentence is handed down, he has no choice but to honor it and accept it.
Islam.
The charges of insubordination, with what was just read, I'm not sure if it was read by that or if it was read by Najwa. According to Act 1, he had no ground to stand on. The laws are made by the grand chief, the assistant grand chief. And he was the head of the law department, even though he was in the attic chamber. He should have reported to the grand chief and the assistant grand chief and chairman. Instead, he went off and did it all. He threw a few different variations of the law department, but there was no office, more self-permanent, all the other different that he went on. When you look at the evidence and you look at the testimony given by the three men that came on the stand and gave their testimony, when you look at the fact that the brother was rooted a fraudulent deal that is not moved to leave to the form by the next day. His actions proved him to be guilty as such. And by him not showing up when they know he's going to defend for himself or to prove or provide any witnesses for himself, whatever charges that are handed down by the grand chief, in my humble opinion, is stand without any contest.
Islam.
Islam, Mark.
Okay. So this is taken from the Administrative Functions Handbook. Okay.
Which is what we try to adhere to. This was given to us by the Prophet, and this is the protocol that we try to adhere to as best as possible within carrying out our nation's activity.
Islam. And on the section that says violations, charges, and accusations. Any sister or brother in violation of the divine constitution of the Moorish nation of North America or who violates these bylaws will receive due process according to the supreme law of the land. When these principles are violated, justice must take its course. Remember, your laws are for the safeguards of private property rights and for the nation as a whole, we the people, plebiscite.
Islam.
A violation is the act of violating or the state of being violated. It means to break or infringe as a law or an agreement, to do violence, to treat irreverently, to grossly offend, etc. A charge is to accuse or to impute something to, establishing a liability. thus a responsibility for restitution, atonement, or chastisement, etc. Charges may be brought against any member or officer of the temple in accord with Moorish law, if there is proof with witness of violation of the Moorish constitution or bylaws. An accusation is an act of accusing, an allegation, etc. And in law, a formal charge brought before a court against a person stating that he or she is guilty of some infraction, criminality, or other punishable offense. Any charges or accusations made by any member and directed toward another must be submitted in written form and addressed before the grand body. This must be done by the accusing party and be done in the presence of the accused. This is justice, to assure that the accused has a just review and the fair opportunity to face and question the accuser. If the charge or accusation is proven to be invalid, the one making the accusation must make a public and written apology to accused sister or brother. We are for peace, therefore the rights of all members must be preserved. If any sister or brother is put under any restriction or subjected to any form of discipline due to any charge or claim of violation, he or she shall have a fair and impartial trial. The accused may appeal the charge or allegation before the council and the people. An appeal is a resort or application to a higher authority, as for sanction, corroboration, or decision for a new hearing on a charge or a matter previously litigated. If anyone is charged with a breach of the law, and such a breach requires expulsion from the grand body, then that member may reapply for membership within a 30-day period with a written document requesting readmission by self-reaffirming one's allegiance to the temple and the grand body. This will require a review by 2/3 vote by the grand body and the general membership.
Islam. So I also in there, when I read that through, I realized that we also took the appeals part to this too, by bringing Setnra into this. Because I think we talked about this before. Really, we don't need any outside source for this. But Camray, during his activity, was trying to say that we were unfairly prosecuting him. So we took it under that to bring Setnra in, who was someone that Camray seemed to take as a higher authority than even us.
Yes.
So we brought Setnra in, who has taken his time out to then be part of this and to want to judge fairly and equitably on this matter.
Yeah, because it's saying that we have to be, saying that the accused has to be present in the presence while we're writing these statements or whatever, we're presenting these statements.
All right.
So in the case that Camden, in this case, we sent emails or whatever, Cam didn't show up, would like how it would be in any other courthouse. Like if we, the accused, didn't show up to court or in the buildings, the administrative buildings, you'd get a bench warrant or something up for us. What would be?
Well, no. What would happen is it would be trial in absentia. You wouldn't be there. They would charge you with the charges, and then your absence would speak for itself.
Yeah.
The evidence would be put out since there would be no rebuttal, right? Because remember, the charges wouldn't be put forward without some evidence, right? That's how this all goes, right? The police are then supposedly the ones who create this evidence. The judge, the prosecutor then looks it over, makes sure there's a tight case, and then they present it. That's supposedly what's supposed to happen, right? So that's where the so-called fraudulent law that we face is based on our law. So that's what we've done. So then what happens is the charge is there. Now, as a man who is innocent, he should be here. He would be here with his counsel, right? And as we all know, he's been making noise about wanting this, and we gave it to him, right? So that's what would happen. So now what we would do is we would say, defense, your turn now. So speak, Camray.
Or anybody.
But I'm saying it's Camray who's on charges, so Camray would speak. Camray's not here, so Camray's telling you. Remember, silence is acquiescence, right?
So we have to go back. Islam.
Islam, you want to adjourn the mediator?
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, well, I mean, I guess you guys know this is what it is.
Islam.
Islam. And we also want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to assist us in mediating this tribunal.
And the pursuit of justice.
Get to the bottom of this and in the pursuit of justice. And we want to also thank anybody else that's with you, offering their ear and expertise on the matter.
Alright, so, just for the record, I would say that no one was being let ill. And I also had Sabrina and Becky, they listened there. So they're sitting there as my witnesses and other witnesses as well. And, yeah, we just want to thank you for honoring us enough. So I was considered on a tribunal such as this. And I won't tell you who we are, and tell you any else because we're not here.
Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Peace and love.
Okay. So
that concludes that. Next up, we have our town hall meeting.
Well, did we not?
okay, well, could we put it on the record what we have concluded in regards to that?
And I
matter?
guess a vote should be put out there, right?
No, we cannot vote because there's no defense. In other words, we have to finalize and say, like, right now,
You're saying this would be a judgment
what
set.
is the judgment? What we have done is we have sent out an expulsion letter to said party, Canaanland Bay, 3 weeks ago, to which we were told that we have to have a tribunal, which is what we're doing right now. We presented our evidence to the floor, to the body. The defendant is not present, as we could all see. So the judgment is being upheld in regards to the expulsion that we have already initiated into this matter.
And I think just to preface this,
Go ahead.
in the future, the expulsion letter would not be sent out beforehand. That was, let's say, something that we did preemptively. There was sort of a sense of real sort of wrongdoing here. So ultimately, that expulsion letter was wrong. But we also told Camray that the expulsion letter didn't have any validity. We need you here for trial.
And that's what
So
we did.
so yeah, that's.
So basically, we're upheld in what we have already made a decision on, which was an expulsion because of the activities that he has been doing over the past couple of months. So it's upheld, he's expelled from the temple, Moor Temple of America, temple number 5. And basically we're just presenting it to the body.
As a cautionary tale, as well as, though, I'd like to preface this. Within this nation, I was talking to Cujo about this too. If supposedly you were in this de facto state and you did something wrong and you went to jail and you came out, you would then be back in society again too, having done your time, having done your so-called restitution and your rehabilitation. Ultimately, I was talking to Cujo about this too. Camray is a Moor still. At this point, he may be doing dirty Moor stuff. Let's be honest. And at this point, he can't be affiliated with us. There is still room for Camray if he can find his way back to this, to come back here. And that's where it says in that violations part, where he can appeal and ask to come back into the fold. I sense, and I think anyone who's been intimately involved with this, I think, plus his activity here and his lack of appearance, I think speaks to probably where his energies really are. But ultimately, this isn't some dictatorship. If Camray wants to come here 6 months from now, part of what we thought, we were even thinking about this, in our mind, he would have to make restitution to these people. That's what happens. What? How? Well, first of all, the fiat would need to be given back. That would let's say be, as an example, that would be the first thing. That's what happens, let's say, out there too, right? Secondly, though, and we already know this, there would have to be a mountain for him to climb. You know what I mean? He'd be walking around on his knees. As an example, he would be walking around on his knees, being humble for the next year. I don't know. I'm just saying that we're not above the fact that people can do wrong at times. As I said, this to me is a very egregious wrong. But I'm just putting it out there that this is not, as I said, he's still a Moor by bloodline. He's just not part of this regency. But also, there is, like anything, and this is even what the de factos do, you always got a chance for appeal, eh? That's one of those same rights in part of justice. You know, he may have been in a car accident right now, right? He might be lying in a hospital right now somewhere. It may have some news and come in here and there could be another, right? But I mean, that would have to be proven and all that kind of stuff. The same stuff that goes on out there, sort of, that's mimicked out there. But I'm just putting it out there to all of us to let us know that this isn't some, you know, what do you call it? This isn't some dictatorship that doesn't allow space and room to have justice really do its course, and the appeal process and all that kind of stuff, and the acceptance back into the fold if one can then deem himself worthy to come back in, right?
And that was my question. I understand that he can make restitution financially. That I understand. How do you restore the kind of trust that he's broken? Anybody that comes into this movement and does a little bit of studying, understands the history of the movement, knows that the reason we are in the situation we're in today is because of numbers, not something from outside. It's always an inside job, okay? So when we have this sort of thing happen, and this individual has had the opportunity on numerous occasions to come and state his position, there's a huge difference between making a mistake and being an opportunist who actually waits for a time when I can screw my people, basically.
Islam.
Okay? No, I'm just going to say how I feel. If y'all don't feel that way, that's all good, but I think it's a good thing for us to say how we feel in a situation like this. We're pretty fairly new organization, although our brother Grand Chief Cujo has been on this thing for quite a few years. Most of us are pretty new in this. And I don't think we can afford the kind of thing that happened with this individual to ever happen again with us. You know, because all it's going to do, for every step we take forward, these kind of people take us 100 steps backwards. It's pathetic. There's no excuse for it in my book. Everybody makes mistakes. None of us is perfect.
Right.
But to deliberately go again and again and again and rip off your brothers and your sisters is unconscionable. I said
Islam, and you mimic what all of us feel, but I thought it necessary to put on the record that, you know, that there is an appeal process and there is that kind of process. So I was just putting that out there because who knows where this is going to be uploaded to, and I think that that's important.
I agree with you 100%. There has to be an appeal process, and when we get to that bridge, we can certainly cross it.
Right.
I'm just kind of.
And trust me, that's where you, as I was trying to state to the body here before, I was exactly where you were months ago on this, before this stuff got to this point. I was that enraged and that angry. And I think we have to follow certain protocols and certain forms of doing things. But as I said, I am exactly in line with you, and the type of malfeasance that he has done, the type of restitution he would have to make would have to be commensurate with that. So we can all, in our own minds, think about what kind of restitution that would take. And it's not just the physical giving back of the fiat. So that's what I was trying to get at, to a certain extent.
Before we continue, I'd like to just put a little bit of auxiliary information on the record. One thing is that in the fall of 2015, the date was made presently, but at some point
Sorry, fall of what?
2015 of last year. I questioned Omari, Secretary Omari Sizwell Bey, concerning the dues and donations received by Canaanland Bay. And Omari can bear witness to him in telling me that Canaanland had not given any donations up to that point at any point. Is that correct?
Yes. Since I'm going to be official, since last August, no dues have been received from Canada.
Okay. Islam. So at this point, I would just say that with my authority, I officially would say that Canaanland Bay stands guilty of all the charges noted here today and brought today. And if there's anyone in the grand body who has any discrepancy or disagreement with that, now is your last chance to speak. So we're all in agreement?
Yeah.
Islam.
Well, I would like to say something.
Say, go ahead.
Okay. I'm quite new to all this organization, the Moorish Empire, and all I can speak on is what has happened with me with Cameron, and all I can say is that the interactions that I had with him has just been him helping me. If I didn't receive the help, I think I may have had a worse encounter in my life right now. And he, in all the interaction I had with him, he never asked me that I have to pay for what he was helping me with. He just
What was the nature of your situation?
the nature of my situation was I had court proceedings where they wanted to lock me up for
I mean, you don't have to get into particular specifics if you don't want to per se in
Yeah.
terms of that, but you can just say they,
criminal charges. You know, that they wanted to put me in jail. That caused a lot of terror to my life. And the time that I met Cameron was at the last stages where I was just about to go to trial. And I think he gave me as much help as possible.
What did he help you with?
In that short time that was to my trial. And he did things that, he didn't have to do. And I was very grateful the fact that he was actually taking that effort without even giving myself any, without asking for any money or anything, because
Can you give specifics, like specifics? on
specifics, yeah.
How came on help?
well, he with paperwork,
Okay.
he helped me out with filling out paperwork that I would submit for an appeal, to appeal the case, or to put into the trial at the very time trial was going on. Because we were trying to do it before the date of the trial, which was the next day. And he let him drive, and he was able to pick me up by his car, and we went to the courthouse together. And he basically was just assisting me to file the documents at the clerk and at the Crown's office. And
Do you remember the specific documents that you guys filed, like what were they called?
documents were
The reason why I'm asking you is because when you stepped in, I asked if you remember,
yeah.
and you said, no, you're not a member. So this is in regards to people who are members, registration. We always register members before they go to court, for any court proceedings or anything like that. And make sure you're a registered MSTA citizen.
That's
So
it.
this is the reason why I'm asking, because if it's not in regards to that, then it's something different. It's a whole new jurisdiction you're dealing with, and that he's dealing with.
No, but are you stating the fact that, because basically if he has been dealing with more, our paperwork in conjunction with that, and like you're saying, he hasn't registered, then they're, well, yes, that's what I'm saying to those extents. Now, if those things have helped you, let's say through this, then one can look at that, but then one can also look at the fact that he could be putting you into even further trouble down the line. Now, it may have worked out positive now, and I'm willing and want to hear all of that. And I'm sort of glad that there is one person here. Interestingly enough, it's you here, not him. Right? But
I'm very glad you spoke.
but for me, I think, and if you don't mind, because we're not here to attack you, this is more of a learning process. And if you can speak on what those things were,
Before we go further, I'd just like to put on the record that all of the members of the Moor Temple of America and Canaanland have agreed to the judgment by the chairman, myself, Tesla David of Canada. This is within the Moor Temple of America, Canaanland. This is an organization which exists in an indigenous jurisdiction, okay, a free jurisdiction on the land. Okay, so I'm not, what we're doing here is open. However, the authority is within people who, like Nadra said, are registered. And that is how we are able to do the activity that we do in a society that is structured for corporations to benefit, not for human flesh, human beings to benefit. That is how we protect ourselves and carry out what the prophet brought us. So that's again. I'm glad that you spoke up.
So what we are doing though, for sure, is we're stating that he has been expelled as of 12/07, whatever date.
Yes.
But,
and to also put on the record that for his appeal process, he will have to as well go to seek Secretary Moore in terms of revisiting his dues and getting those up to date as well before he can
even discuss. But do we want to follow up with exactly some of this too, to a little bit?
Well, let's close off officially.
Well, that's been, yeah, I feel it's been closed, or.
So Branching, there's witness, so if we want to, we can discuss this.
Yeah, just maybe a quick follow-up and then we can get to, because obviously there's someone here to speak. We asked that and there's someone here to speak, and I think that it would be interesting if you don't mind continuing to speak. Maybe you could sort of very quickly, because as I said, right now, you're not in trouble with us because you're of our bloodline as well. But the issue is that if he's done stuff with you and you haven't registered here, that can be a problem down the line, right? Because then ultimately what's going to happen is, let's say we were government right now, then you would be up on charges from us to a certain extent.
See, that's where the issue lies right now.
But we're not going to go there with that because yet again you have been defrauded. But that's why we want to get to the bottom of this and also understand.
So it's not an attack on him, and we're just making sure that, you know what, anybody that we meet, the whole thing is, when I ask you about paperwork, you didn't exactly know the whole specific of the paperwork. So what Cameron should have did, his duty was teach you on how to be a guard yourself so that you don't need him. That's in a dynamic of a lawyer, right? Somebody helping somebody else get out of a certain situation. I, self-law, and master is what we deal with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he was supposed to teach you on how to deal with your own affairs. He wasn't supposed to deal with your affairs for you.
And just kind of,
You see what I'm saying? So there's where all this, all this fabrication and all this stuff starts to begin, because I took a camera to court, and the whole thing is I passed on information to help him, right? Amari here has helped me in certain paperwork, but if you ask me the paperwork specifics that Amari has given me, I can tell you point for point what it is. If you don't know, unfortunately, he led you on the wrong path because you're supposed to know that's what studying is all about. You're supposed to study yourself. We want you to go to court as our bloodline and stand your square and know how to deal with things yourself. No one is supposed, and we're not saying he extracted, you said that he didn't extract any fiat from it.
But can I ask, just to interrupt for a second, did you give him any fiat? And honesty would hopefully be...
I gave him money, but I gave him money out of my own heart for the time that he was helping me.
Right. That's how I look at it too, initially.
Right? Because I felt that.
But just as a sort of, let's watch that timeline too, because this has been part of it. As I said, I'm glad that you're here, because here's another thing, right? Camry, you know, it's like a parent teaching a child, right? What Camry has done for you was sort of, you know, someone who's in a position who has knowledge and was able to then help you get through some difficult situations, right? Well, Camry came into this knowledge through us, right? So out of the goodness of your heart, let's use an example, out of the goodness of your heart, you gave him some benefit, right? Or gave him some compensation. Well, let's be honest, Camry has never given a cent to us from the monies that he's taken. So when you look at that from that position too, you can.
We're not asking for money.
And we don't want money, but I'm just saying, wouldn't part of, in my mind, part of the same way that you're showing honor and respect and thanks for what he's doing, that's part of what we talk about too. That it should be passed back up the line as well. Now, as I said, we don't want it because that's bad energy. But to me, where really, if he was your brother, he would have said, you know what, the money I don't need. It's about seeing you get off your charges.
Exactly.
But anyways, I would like to, but I would also like to let him speak, because I think.
No, that's fine. My question to you, sorry, just 1 second. As secretary, I'm asking this question just to be blunt. Have you proclaimed your nationality?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've proclaimed, I've gotten the document,
Okay.
but I haven't signed it.
Okay.
Right?
Now-
Maybe because I haven't dealt with that because of the situation, stressful situation I was
Okay.
under.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an area of studying that I've been doing, and then there's in the area of studying, it's how do you embed all of this information, this overwhelming information.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then in the area of overwhelming, it's almost like which point do you deal with first? What's the most important thing that I need to do because of the situation that I'm in? And in the area of the situation, I might be not doing the things that I should be doing.
No.
And you know, until because now it's starting to seem like everything is starting to settle down, and now I can start really doing a lot of thinking and moving properly.
Okay. The reason why I asked that question is because in the position where I stand is that if I get contacted tomorrow and they ask me about you, do you have a member of the Moor Science Temple of America, such and such big application title? I check it and I say no. On you now, you're committing fraud.
And just to follow up with that, Camry has been the one, maybe out of a benevolent way, to have created that fraud. You see, so that's where we sense some of the issues are, because far be it for him to help you, but he's not even helping you in the correct way, because as he says, once, as you're noticing, if as you can see, if this information truly is what it is, then ultimately and eventually, you're looking at a nation within a nation, so-called nation right now. And so ultimately what would happen is there's going to be discourse. That's what happens in consular level stuff. So they would say, is this gentleman part of your thing? We don't know who this guy is. Then you've got a whole other can of worms that you have to deal with. And that's what we're trying to say to you, that if he hasn't even gone through those protocols, then there's an even bigger problem here. And let's say, because we know that we're dealing with de facto stuff going on here, if he's helped you to get through some stuff, that's let's say, commendable on a certain level, but he's really done you a disservice on another level, right? But it's also, but for you to also be here, as I said, and you've obviously chosen to speak up, and if you really are sincere about this, then it would be hopefully helpful for you to sort of, you know, just sort of be forthright with what has gone on with you and him, because yet again, at this point, sort of, you're stuck in no man's land, and really, you've been attached to us in a certain way too, because right now, fraudulent paperwork has gone out there that is connecting you with us, right? As you can see that, right? Because they're using our authority here, or he's using the authority that's been given to the nation in a fraudulent way.
If that's even the case, like, for example, for him to, if he's assisting you with paperwork, but the paperwork comes from the court, not us, he's not assisting you. You could have went to the court yourself, asked them questions, and they would give you the paperwork that you need in order to appeal. But he's not necessarily needed for that. Under the guise of saying he's quote unquote, yeah, he's needed because you lack the information, right? But just like the brother Navra said, you know, with individuals that have situations, we don't move on it from the perspective of we can help you with whatever, right? We move on it on, well, this is what they're doing to you. This is where you can go to find the information with regard to what they're doing to you and how to counteract it. Anything that you need as far as assistance, you don't understand something like that, yeah, we're there to, but you're the one that's going to walk the path.
And just to
the path isn't being walked by us and you. You're the one that's walking the path, and we're behind you on the path. We're in the bushes on the path. We're, you know what I mean, a sign pointing a direction on the path, but we're not on the path with you. You know what I mean? Because it does you a disservice for us to be there. It's a disservice for somebody to say, well, you know, I have charges, I'm going to go call somebody, pay them $5,000, let them do it. And then after the situation, you're now, you know, because it went a certain way, now you're relying on them, and you're willing to give them $5,000, maybe $10,000 next time because they got you off $5,000 the first time. You know what I mean? Opposed to you now taking it on yourself and saying, oh, that's how I do it. Oh, that's how I plant vegetables.
Or even more importantly, that is who I am. Because that is really what this is about.
Right.
That is who I am in this thing, in this.
Because in regards to why we are doing this is because we have to follow particular laws within the Moorish Science Temple of America. Like Act 5, for instance, the Moorish Holy Temple of Science and Divine Constitution and Bylaws, it states, this organization of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey thereby. What has transpired is there has been confusion within yourself, because as you stated before, you did not know. And then you had someone who knew leading you. And that is the confusion that we do not want amongst the members. Because they knew, but they did not tell you. No, you can take it. Right? They knew what was transpiring when they were showing you. Yes, you might have gotten off on what you were supposed to get off on, but I go back again. If I'm contacted as secretary, I have to tell the truth. Because I have the vast members to support, and I cannot have them be injured because of one incident.
Which they do. Like, for example, a few weeks ago, a Moor went to a store and put on his nationality card. I'm native, give me taxes off. And they were fighting about it. And he told them, you call the Grand Sheik, he'll verify who I am. And they called. Like, they call me, yeah. I'm so-and-so. I'm holding so-and-so's card right now that says this name on it, appellation, title, whatever on it. Do you know who they are? Are they a member of whatever? Oh, does he look like so-and-so? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Yeah, I know who he is. He's native. He gets no taxes. Oh, thank you very much. Hung up the phone, and then he got his taxes out. No questions asked after that. So they do check. They can check. You know what I mean? Are they going to? You know, that depends on you know, really what it is that you were up against with them.
But let me also preface this too, that as we continue to do this and continue to move forward, they are going to check because of the dirty Moors that are out there doing their stuff. So what's going to happen is, as this gets out there, and because understand this, that Camry may have helped you out in a purely good way. There are some people out there that he's not helping out. So when that stuff starts to hit the fan, there's going to be another call coming here.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, is Camry part of this? And we're going to say Camry isn't part of this. Then what's going to happen is they're going to go back through all the paperwork that Camry has done. And your stuff is going to come up. And then what'll happen?
Camera has not helped you.
Huh?
He has not led you on the right path.
Right. But anyways, let us let the couple speak, and then what I wanted to do after this, but let's let the couple speak, and then what I wanted to do, if you could, hopefully, is just give us a quick rundown of exactly what things he did for you with the paperwork and those kind of things. Did he authenticate some stuff, just so we know if this is where you are and you're genuine about this, then you can have your chance to speak, and then I think we need to get on with our town hall stuff, right? Because
we are in the town hall.
no, but I meant that this.
This is it.
Well, but I think there's other stuff to talk about too, right? Yeah.
I just wanted to say, in regards of your situation, it just seems like just understanding what's going on with Camry's characters, that he was pretty much just prepping you.
Yep.
And an opportunity presented itself where he's putting in the work now, and then when it comes to now nationalizing or naturalizing, which is what he was doing, then you get hooked. But the beautiful thing about it is that, you know, your spirit brought you here today instead of can. And again, that interaction that you had with him just made us aware that, you know what, there's still people out there that will get you fleeced. And what he should have done was to direct you to the temple, to the body of, you know, to who we are, as opposed to keeping the, you know, being the lizard and you being Dorothy and not knowing how to get home. So at the end of the day, you saved yourself, you know, countless and countless of hours of, you know, trouble and stuff like that, because we're encouraged to study and we have the support of each other. And we do our best for each other. And what he was supposed to do is to bring you into the kingdom, you know. But he pretty much kept you away from it. And I understand that you're coming from the point of view that he may have saved your life. Your spirit saved your life, you know. And your spirit is what brought you here, because we're dealing with a divine and national movement. The first line of defense is divinity. You gotta go within, and you know you gotta filter out the nonsense. And with that, when you follow your heart and you follow your spirit, which you did, and you came here and you're seeing a different side of Camry that you never knew about. But this is what, you know, what happens when we're not attentive. You know, we want people to do things on our behalf and just follow them. The prophet came to make us leaders. You know, you're your own priest, you're your own head. You know, and we're just part of the grand body. So, you know, I just want to just add that on.
And so, no, I thought Tariq maybe, but you did, right? You?
No, I just want to make sure everybody wanted to speak.
Because I just wanted to get some of those questions down too, in terms of exactly what happened. So can I also just ask, do you mind giving your straw name? Because ultimately too, if there is a phone call that's made, at this point, you stepping forward, there can be a different response to this, because Amari can say, I do know that this gentleman to a certain extent. I don't know whether that's what you're going to do, but I think it's important for us to get some of this info down. Do you not? So could I get your straw?
Morris L. Bay.
Morris L. Bay? L? E. L. Bay? Okay. So can I also then ask, you said he put some paperwork forth for you?
Yeah.
So these are a certain, how many charges, let's say, as an example? Or can you give us
Just one charge.
just one charge?
Yeah.
So was the paperwork, the nationality paperwork and some of that stuff?
It was nationality paperwork, yeah.
Nationality paperwork. And that's like sort of proclaiming your nationality and sort of some other writs within that, right?
Yeah.
So to speak. All right.
What was the date?
The date was probably January the 7th or something.
Oh, so just a point of contention. So your name is Morris?
Yeah,
Is it-
it's off Neil, but it's Morris is my nickname,
But isn't that interesting?
and then Morris is my
Your appellation, right?
appellation.
Right. All right. So he gave you nationality paperwork. That paperwork was filed, and that paperwork sort of
It wasn't.
not filed, but it was entered in,
Yeah.
and that sort of quashed your case.
No, it's not squashed. It's still going on.
You see, this is important stuff for us, though. Now, you see what I'm saying? Because right now, you could be 1 foot in, and at this point now, you coming here. Let me tell you this. This could be the other part that our other esteemed members talking about. That let's say the SHIT hits the fan, but at this point, you've taken 1 foot out of this mud, and really, when stuff really starts to hit, you've now at least aligned yourself properly, right? So this is why I'm asking these questions, right? Because what can happen is we can then make an appeal and say, listen, we had a fraudulent, dirty guy doing some stuff, but this Moor is part of this, and we're stepping forward from there. Because let me be honest with you, we don't even know what we're trying to tell you is most of the paperwork that he's presented has been wrong.
That's why I asked the date.
That's where I'm trying to be honest with you. It has been wrong. It may have been fool, but you have to understand this too with these guys, right? They like to set you up. They'll give you enough rope to hang yourself too, eh? And at the end of the day, you're talking about some more or something, and you're going to jail no matter what, and Camry, whatever. So I'm just trying to get this more out of a clinical administrative point, because you are our brother. And right now, unfortunately, you've been deceived by the wolf.
And when I get approached by people with, well, you know, thanks for your help or whatever like that, I turn down their money.
Because
I have an obligation to help them because they're my brother. In adversity, like there's a covenant that we have that if our brothers in adversity assist him,
not take money from him. But anyways, that's just out of that. But anyways, but you gave it to him out of thing, and that's fine.
right? Like not taken away from your kindness. I'm talking about his unkindness of accepting actually when he should have turned it down.
Question, did he ever give you a circle 7? What? Did he ever give you a circle 7 Quran?
Okay, so here's what I want to do though too, Morris. I just want to get quickly to this part because what I'm sensing is just, you know what I mean? Like what I want to tell you, I'm thanking you, the Prophet thanks you, and Allah thanks you because this is what this is all about. But it's not about having you feeling uncomfortable and doing all this stuff. But what I want to get to really is what's happened. So the nationality paperwork was given, and what has that done with the trial? So where are you in the trial? You had arraignment, what, have you been found guilty? Like where, because this is the stuff that will come back to us. Can you tell me where you're at with this? Because this doesn't
Well,
get,
I'm still
you're sort of battling within, you're still within going to,
I was found guilty,
okay, so you've been found guilty.
and
Are you waiting for sentencing?
I've been sentenced,
Okay, and is,
and I'm just going through the process of trying to get paperwork in here to appeal.
okay, is the sentence time?
It's on conditional sentence.
It's a conditional sentence, sort of like 2 years served in the community sort of thing, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And now you're trying,
So 4 months, 4 months, conditional.
sorry, 4 months?
It's 4 months, conditional sentence.
Found guilty,
So
sentence.
for the record, right? Anybody who gets sentenced to something having to do with community hours or volunteer, anything like that, we can sign off on your stuff if you're a member here. It's something that I personally have done for young people, right? Like youths who have criminal stuff or whatever like that, they need volunteer hours, 20 hours, 8,000 hours, don't matter. Bring yourself to me let's sit down, have some discussions or whatever like that. We'll sign off on whatever it is that's needed once you're a member. Once you realize what
This
this
really
is, what this represents, right? And we do it because it makes us look good to those people. Because they want to see us doing these type of things. They're not because, you know what I mean, we have the power to do it, but we want to prove to those people that, yeah, we are doing humanitarian services here. Because we have an obligation to uplift all humanity. They can go research on the internet and know that Moor Science Temple has an obligation to uplift all humanity. Right? And this is something that we've done. Right? We've already dealt with I've had chaplains at jails call me to say, yo, we need Holy Quran Circle 7 in the jail because inmates are asking for it. And they said, call you. So I'm calling you to find out how can we get these books up in there. Right? We've had, young people, parole officers call us to say, you know what? This individual needs, some structured, whatever, programs, whatever like that. Do you guys have any way that, oh yes, set them down. No problem. Give me my number. We have some conversations on the phone. Right? And we assist them. Right? So it's not a thing of you can't get off of it, or that, even the fact that because to be honest with you, the way that you were talking, I thought you were looking at 10 years in prison or something like that.
Yeah.
The way you're talking.
Yeah. Because that's the question, because can I just...
3 hours, that ain't nothing.
No, it's just conditional.
Well, conditional sentence means you're still out there. I had one of those, and I was out. I've also been in, and I know the difference between in and out, right? So, but here's one of the questions I wanted to ask, though.
One thing too, and this is part of the thing of with us saying that we're more scientists, right? Him being a moral scientist should have known these things to tell you to ease that pressure off of you. That you're not on the edge of your seat about something that they're going to give you conditional. That ain't not. They already knew from the start of the thing that they're going to give you conditional whatever.
Yeah.
So his position with you was to have you on the edge of your seat. So he can be the one.
And just interrupt, and that's what the de facto lawyers do too, as we know. The de facto lawyers tell you, give me $4,000, have you on the edge of your seat. They've already decided what's going to happen to you long before that. So really, this is another part that happens with us too. It says, be careful, because your own brother is going to sell you into slavery. So what you're realizing there is you have someone who's professing to be on this level, but that's what I was going to ask you. Do you believe the paperwork is what got you, because really the paperwork didn't, watch this, the paperwork didn't stop you from being found guilty, did it? The paperwork didn't stop you from being sentenced, did it?
It may have...
What I think is it gave you a small sense of something.
Well, just a little bit of knowledge that I may have spoken out in court may have turned them from actually sentencing me.
Right.
Because something went on the record.
Right.
And then they said, well, maybe we can't go to that area because who knows, we may come back and sue us because of...
So what you're sort of saying is that they may have been looking at saying, let's give this guy a year in jail, and you speaking it on some stuff may have said, okay, let's just give him 4 months suspended.
Yeah.
All right. It's good to know. As I said, these are some of the details. If you're looking at doing some jaywalk or maybe a little bit of drugs, that's one thing. Who knows? You see, we
That's his birthright. So literally, his birthright protected. Even though you don't know much about it, but they know the fact that you uttered it out. Yeah. So now the next step is for you to prove yourself. So that's why you gotta go heavy, study, know who you are, know thyself. Yeah. Because you did the work and against your spirit, right? Because you don't come across die hard religion.
Which court was it?
Brampton
Court, right? So know that between between, say, 2010
Yeah.
and now, there's been influx of Moors that's already gone to Brampton
Are you
Courthouse.
Ray Lawson Courthouse?
Not Ray Larson, well, it started at Ray Larson, but it ended up in.
Right?
All right,
That-
'cause I was
that-
there.
That, you know, said same thing that you said. That they probably already know what's up. As soon as they see El Bay, Fezes, or whatever like that, they already know that we'll save you for last. We're not gonna put you up first or whatever like that. We're gonna make sure we empty the courtroom before we see you, right? They're gonna have certain things in place already so that you know it appears to be a distraction, right? But really and truly, they're dealing with things that you might not know that what they've dealt with previous relative to Moors.
Okay.
That they already know that, you know, like I'm saying, if they're gonna say, instead of putting you in jail or whatever like that, they're gonna give you some condition or whatever, they already knew from the start that they're gonna do that. But they have to go through the motions for the dumb people who are out there to make it look like, you know, everything's fair. You know, everybody getting treated the same. When everybody are getting treated the same, Moors get treated totally different than anybody else when it comes to court, trial, whatever. Totally different. It's not the same. You know what I mean? So just for the fact of you going in there and standing up and saying certain things, let them know that, okay, we really don't know where this individual's at. Right?
Because initially when I was in court, I said I was moving on the idea that I'm a man. And when I came into court and said I'm a Moorish American, Aboriginal, indigenous, natural person, the judge was like, wait a minute, didn't you say back then you were a man? And I have it here in the evidence, I have it here. Didn't you say that? And I said, no. So I knew something was like really up right at that point.
But now look at how the spirit is guiding you, right? To Moors, a man is a Moorish American national.
Say that again.
A man.
Man stands for M. A.
Moorish American national.
Okay.
Question for question.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
So you were already on that tip.
So indirectly, you were already, without him, you were already on what you were supposed to be on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? You know? So now, if you, for example, were given the correct instruction from the start, right? This man had not even gone as far. How long has the case been going on for? Since January?
Well, yes.
Or prior to January?
Prior to January.
No, but when did camera get involved?
About a month now.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's
Since
been
the
before that, how long has
last
it been
time
on?
we had the event here.
Yeah.
That's when I knew.
And how long has it been going on before?
Oh, so you met him here. It was when you met him here.
We spoke about that before in December, when I met you in December.
Yeah.
All right, so I have just one quick question too. In terms of moving forward, when is the so-called sentencing coming down?
It's already, it's
You're living it now? Huh? You're in it now?
Yeah.
So you're now trying to backtrack to get that sort of whole thing
Yeah.
thrown out now. Just a quick question. Is there an expectation, or is there, on your part, is there more finance that you feel that you have to give forth? Is there more finance that you're feeling that needs to come forth, or I mean, I'm not even speaking specifics, but or is the rest of this sort of, for lack of a better word, called pro
I
bono?
don't feel that there's any financial pressure coming down on me.
All right.
Like, the reason why I would think of even want to give any financial thing is because I know that we're living in a time where our time is so precious. Like, it's not like 10, 20 years ago where we had like, the freedom to like do things and help out and help out for free. Like times have changed tremendously in the past 10 years, 5 years, where it's almost like we have to be so careful with our time now because it can make such a big difference. And maybe with what you guys know, it's not so what I'm saying, but what from me living from my perspective, I see that time is just so precious and how anyone lives their precious time. They have to just take it so carefully. And that's how I looked at with Cameron, that I don't want to take up his time. I don't want to take up anybody's time.
No, let me ask you this question. No,
Right?
What if I told you that time is an illusion?
I would.
Now what's time compared to, so what's time mean now, if time is an illusion?
Yeah, what is the relationship to that?
What's the relationship now? If time is an illusion?
Is this irrelevant? Time is.
Or if the time that he was taking, he told you to take that time yourself. So instead of you feeling the ways like, oh, the man just spent all this time helping me, what if he just said, listen, RVB Publications, spend your time on that for the next however long you have before your appeal or before your court case. Go on RVB Publications because you could be here for 10 years and not go through everything, and you would have spent that time for yourself rather than having another individual spend his so-called time when in actuality, if you go on RVB, you realize he didn't spend no time. You see what I'm saying? He just copied, pasted, and gave it to you. You see what I'm saying? So there was no time that he actually spent. And it's like a farmer. You see what I'm saying? I come from a farmer's family. Before you sell a cow, you have to fatten that cow up. You see what I'm saying? Because the heavier the cow is, the more money you're going to make off of him. So it's a situation where he's acting like a farmer. You're the calf that's starving. You see what I'm saying? He's going to fatten you up with some information. You see what I'm saying? And then when it comes time for him to put you on the chopping block, you're going to be like, oh man, the brother spent so much time helping me. I'll give the man a 1-2 fund because he helped me. When in actuality, the only help he could have gave you was to say, yo, listen, RBA Publications, there's the temple, here's the holy, the Set of Quran, and you know what I mean, here's a 1-2 books that you can study yourself, and the information that you're going to get out of it, you'll be able to apply it better. See what I'm saying?
I think we've had a history as a people of being treated as minors. The churches treat us that way. You go to some guy in a confessional and you tell him your sins. He's gonna make it all kings. We get lawyers to represent us in court to try to fix something that we have to fix in our lives. We go to shrinks. We go here, there, and everywhere trying to fix what we need to fix ourselves. And it's whether we have an individual who's taking our fiat or whether they're saying, I'm doing you a favor by doing this for you for free, it's irrelevant. The point is, we're supposed to do it ourselves. We have to start, we don't want to be considered minors, therefore we have to be 100% responsible for our own lives. So when anybody comes around and they say, I want to do this for you, whether for fiat or for free, it's our responsibility, and I'm not blaming anybody in this room, because we've all been took at one time or another in our lives. It's as simple as that. But we have to decide, anybody that comes to us and says, this is what I'm going to do for you, or I've got a plan, or whatever the case may be, it's okay, you can listen to them. But then you have to do your homework to find out who they are, right? Exactly who they are, where they're coming from, are they legitimate, are they lawful, or are they somebody coming to play games and trying to, somehow benefit from your suffering. And this is what we have to do. We have to, in every single area of our lives, whether it's our education, whether it's our medical, our health, the doctor didn't make you sick, and he ain't going to make you well, right? So these are the things that we have to really look at. It's our responsibility. This is our life, and we're the ones that have to do whatever has to be done in our lives. So we can't expect anyone else to do it for us, because there's always going to be vultures out there who are looking for us so that they can take advantage of us. They can't do it if we have our own stuff, solid in our lives, where we know what we're about and we can do what we have to do. And that eliminates any chance for them to get inside, to infiltrate. You know what I mean?
Islam.
Just to add on what Lucas said, like, for instance, if each one of us already schooled in the knowledge, we're each other's counsel. Like right now, we're having a discussion based on how best to preserve our lives when we leave this building and our families' lives. So the fact that we can call each other up, we'll see each other once a week and be like, okay, this is what's going on, or you hear a story, you know, it helps us defend ourselves and our families better when we go out into the world. Like on a macro level, what we do as a body is for the betterment of our nation. Your win on a micro level, based on the information that you represent yourself as a more indigenous and aboriginal to the land, is our win. So it's in our best interest to make sure that you've been, I don't want to say the word, okay, let's say, you've been exercised. You know, the demons of the corporate world, you've been cleansed of, you've been baptized. So your win is our win, and the body's win. You know, when Setting Rise in Philadelphia, or wherever he's helping out, their win is our win. And all the clean ones out there, when they win based on the information that the prophet brought us, we win. Because their spirit is defending our spirit, and that's all part of the Asiatic covenant. That's our covenant with ourselves. So our job today and always going forward is to make sure that we root out the, I don't use the word weeds, but root out the bad weeds, because there's some good weeds out there that, you know, we need. But that's our job. So we're not coming down on you or coming on your defensive cam. You're coming from pure heart as far as, okay, this is what he did for me. But now this is what we're doing for you and you're doing for us by having this dialogue.
Islam.
And another thing too to bring up that Brother Kenta mentioned of counsel. So CONSUL and COUNSEL. Right? CONSUL does this because it's their obligation. COUNSEL is going to charge you or take your money, whether you give it or they ask for it or whatever, because there's this duality going on of good and evil, right? And as much as, you know, like you're saying with time and people putting their time in and whatever like that, good doesn't watch those stuff. You know what I mean? Good just, you know, ain't nobody saying, well, you know, I'm gonna go feed the homeless today, so, you know, it's taking my time to feed the homeless, so, you know what I mean? I'm gonna have a sandwich out of their sandwiches. You know what I mean?
Or 6 sandwiches.
It doesn't go like that. When you're dealing with good, when you're dealing with righteousness. You know what I mean? That's why you had, you know, like, poor righteous teachers. You know what I mean? People who knew that you can't compensate me enough for this good work that I do. There's no price tag on this. If you are gonna say, here's something, we're gonna take it and we're gonna put it to something else that's not going in nobody's pocket. It can't, because now it becomes a conflict of interest. Right? It becomes. That's
where the saying is you can't serve two masters.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you can't serve two masters. You can't serve the demon. And again, we if we got these on, we know that paper money is an illusion. So we shouldn't even want to take it like that. You know what I mean? Like we know that if somebody says, here's paper money, we know they didn't give us nothing. We might as well not take it. Because they just gave us an empty bottle of water saying drink. And if you're talking about an empty bottle of water and you're here and it's tasting and all that, you have mental problems now. You know what I mean? So not to stray or whatever, but we wanna make sure, because we got till 2, it's 1 o'clock.
Yeah, we gotta move. I think we should.
So we want to
I want to thank you though too for
you know, we want to open up and then make sure too that you get contact for, you know what I mean, people in here or whatever like that, to, you know, have more blades to clash your blade with, right? Because that's what it is. Like we, just like brother saying, we do this with each other. We do this for each other. We're not sole entities. Just, you know, we got the information, so I'm gonna be over here in my corner, and whenever I need something, then I'm gonna call Tesla. You know what I mean? Outside of this, I'm gonna call Tesla. You know what I mean? I might not, this might not be, it might not be more science today, but, you know, it might be, you know, Landre's son's birthday. So I'm gonna go to the party because, not because we're Moors, but because, yo, you know what I mean? We're family. You know what I'm saying? Right? You know? So, I don't know if there was stuff that you had for town hall or
I think there is.
specific thing we could.
Or just, or
put
I
those things up and.
I can still add.
We got an hour.
Could I get the
Yeah.
data to come up so that
Yeah.
everybody can just, okay, recognize?
Just wanna, just mainly for me, I'm just doing my job as secretary. In regards to what I have pointed out to you as being a member, moving forward, and this is why I've always said I want to make sure you get your administrative functions book. Yeah, why not? Have the administrative functions on member because I'm going to be, how can I say it? Bluntly. I'm going to be starting to call members in regards to dues. It's not a matter for me to want to do it, it's a matter for me because that's part of the administrative functions and I'm going to follow it. I might be public enemy number one, I'm not a bill collector, it's just a matter of, as a member, once you hand in your membership form, expectations of dues is mandatory. An obligation. I will be keeping track on a monthly basis, to which everyone has to make sure that they're up to date. And I started in January of this year and February, we're in the month right now. Moving forward, if I have a membership form for you, dues have to be paid. Over a 6-month period, if dues have not been paid, there will be a suspension. And over a 1-year period, there will be an expulsion. And all dues on a monthly basis has to be up to date. I have a list of all the members, and I will be contacting all those members to see if they're part of the temple still or not. And if they're not, I will be discarding those membership forms and starting from scratch. If you want to become a member again, you will have to hand back a new membership form. This does not preclude you from coming to the temple if you want to, because we still accept donations for the books, for the DVDs, for the materials that we have at the temple. We still accept donations. However, as a member, we expect dues, mandatory, because what those dues are for is to help us with our missionary work as ministers. As you know, Cujo does his classes. We're trying to institute more classes for all the members, but timing is a really, really big issue for us. We used to have, I believe, 4 days a week doing it, but a lot of us have to go on slave. A lot of us have to go to work, so we weren't able to do it. We weren't able to keep the temple open for that long. Now the reason why we couldn't open it for a long time was because donations and dues were not consistent, and there's quote-unquote bills to pay. Hydro, internet, and such, and rent. So, moving forward, I will be getting a little bit more aggressive in terms of speaking to members about dues and or donations. So, Please don't take it personal. I can't take it personal. I'm just doing my work as a missionary and as secretary. It helps, as I said, it keeps the temple running because we need the temple to be moving forward. If we didn't have the temple, we'll still be doing our works, but we need the temple to be moving forward. What else am I? Okay. Actually, that's it. I just basically wanted to speak on the dues situation and the membership form situation. If you have not handed in a membership form, we are not rushing you to do it because the membership forms are for studying mostly. It's for you to understand exactly how to fill out contracts when you go to the corporate world. Also, I wanted to speak on another thing was in regards to the classes that we have on the Sundays. We're going to be keeping track of those classes of the members that come through because we need to keep everyone up to date on information. First thing. Second thing is, once you hand in your membership form, you're not just going to become a member of the Moor Science Temple right away. There has to be some waiting period to go through before this gets established.
And just to add on to that, you can check all the other organizations from UNIA, Black Panthers, etc. That individuals coming in, it's wise for them to know what this is about before they go out there starting to be what this is about. You know what I mean? So you know, people have always taken the thing of, you know, oh well, you're just trying to hold people back and trying to stop people from. It's really about making sure that the people know before they go out there and start exercising certain things. You know what I mean? Because if you don't have the knowledge and you go out there doing certain things, you're only going to set yourself up for, you know what I mean, failure if you don't have the knowledge.
And it also reflects bad on us.
Yes.
Right. And I thought about people who say that we're holding them back, you can't hold them back from what's already yours.
Yes.
So that doesn't make any sense.
So that's basically it from me. So if you have any questions, please contact me, email me. If you're not on the email list, please email me. So I'll give you my email address before we leave. But yes, moving forward, Morris, we have a lot of work to do. In regards to the tribunal that was held today, we have to make sure that our nation is clean and pure. Period. Moving forward.
I just want to touch on the dues. I'll just, me thinking to myself, like, because I'm exercising my birthrights every day, and the nationality card's for earthly salvation, right?
Yes.
So me using that nationality card getting non-tax, that's me. I don't see why any other member of this temple, having an obligation to pay dues. Why would they be able to pay 25 notes a month if they're saving $50 a month on tax exempt, right? Because I know I save a few bucks every month on taxes. I save more than a few bucks. Right?
Well, as I put it out there, you give what you can.
Well, I propose that we continue to sort of discuss among the general membership, and maybe that's something that we can work on as time goes on. But I agree with you 100%.
That's
I just have one announcement to make. Come March, I guess the vernal equinox, Moor and I are planning to have an event out in Hamilton. It's a conservation area out there. Confirming some of the Moors who reside out in that region, and we're planning to have an event out there, sort of a spring forward event. Hopefully the weather will be agreeable. Seems to be awful agreeable now. Not right now per se, but I'm just saying in general. So that'll be around the vernal equinox, so look out for emails on that. We will be doing some, so basically I'm putting that out there now about a month and a week early in regards to sort of people who don't reside out there, looking at that as a date, as trying to get out there, maybe looking at carpool, maybe looking at GO train, maybe looking at sort of finding a spot that can get you as close to the conservation area, and then we can have maybe a shuttle bus picking people up. It's not gonna be an all-day event, but I just thought that part of what the nation also is about, when you look at the so-called corporate nations that are out there, they always seem to have these monthly, bi-monthly events, everything that they do, and that's sort of what I foresee as a sort of team-building stuff, or nation-building stuff. So part of one of the things that I have brought forward as someone coming out of darkness into light, I used to be out in the clubs. I used to be out in the basketball courts. To me, as I have evolved and grown, those things I'm no longer doing. But there's also a social component to this, and Cran speaks about that we're all part of a greater heart. And so what I'm trying to do is to try to create events that can bring us and like-minded people together, where we can, because I think all of us probably know this, that when we go out there and we're on this level of evolution, a lot of the times we're around people who either have a vested interest in not sort of admitting to it or condoning it, or people who don't want to because it's too uncomfortable. And I think that there needs to be for us, and that's what the Sundays are for me, a safe place where I go and I can be that more. And so what I'm trying to do is to bring more events out there. The Prophet also said we should all be living together. I mean, that's what you realize with government. When the so-called Indians and the so-called Chinese get together, what they do is they all go to a community, they all move in there, and then they all hire. There's an intergovernmental thing that happens there that looks after their needs. What unfortunately has happened to us is first of all, we're not our own proper person. But even if we are in those communities, there's not that connection. And that a lot of that has to do with ourselves, but a lot of it has to do with the outside forces that make sure that we're not together. So in this sort of propagating a sort of a growth of more of these events, I'm looking at trying to bring us together as a community outside of the so-called sort of fixed community of just being in the classes and doing those things, right? Where we would be getting together. We had a barbecue last year, which I think most of us had a great time with. We had an old Jolly Day. So I'm looking to just have more of those events, right? Because what I find with most of us are sitting at home, right? Because we're not out there in the clubs, right? Because those things no longer hold. And what we need to do is bring our energies together. The Prophet also said when more than one of us gather together, that's when he's there. Right? So look out for the email there. I'm giving everyone the heads up now that it's going to be out in a conservation area around Master University, and further information will be forthcoming.
And also too, with regard to that, if there's any other things that come up with people, ideas or whatever like that, feel free to present them.
Yeah, present them because something spoke to me about the fact that we need to have that community that it used to be, when you go to the club and you line with your friends, supposedly, or out on the basketball courts. But when I start looking at those activities, I realize that the underlying nature of a lot of those activities, as much as there was a positiveness to it, there was also a lot of the continuation of the entrenched sort of lower self activity going on, for lack of a better word.
And it might be, because we were talking, bouncing ideas off each other. It might be something like, Blockbuster coming out. Let's all go and check. Let's all fess up, go move.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be this.
Let's all go to dinner somewhere.
Well, that's where the barbecue. That's where the barbecue issue for me came from. Let's just sit outside in the hot and let that kind of thing, right? But that can't always be done.
Not today.
But yeah, another one of the ideas I thought was, let's say we have this space, we get a movie out here, or a couple movies on a day, right? Where we come here, we have a little catering, We can sit down and get a couple of key movies that really can help percolate some stuff. Watch it, have a movie afternoon, right? Bring the youth, bring whatever. We sit down. Hopefully, everyone, we can sit, we can build on it. That kind of activity, right? Just sort of activity outside of the class structure thing, right? And then because that's what we're looking. Because basically, this should be filled with everyone. This should be the nation rather than it's look, there's 10 of us, right? So.
Would you guys go to like a main event that's out there, like put yourself into a main event?
Well, for example, we go to the food drives. We're doing the food drives for a minute, as an example. But that's another almost a structured thing too, where you're going to.
No, I'm talking about a main event. Like, there's main events out there. Would you guys, would the organization put yourself and say, we're going there?
When you say main event.
Well, like, for example, let me say, because I know what he's talking about. For example, I was thinking about it. They had this NBA All-Star Weekend. I thought we should have been out there as a group. Just, you know what I mean? There should have been 15 of us, 20 of us out there, all fezzed up, like sitting maybe in one section of that thing, right? That's the kind of thing I think he's doing.
Do you have $700 a ticket?
Well, I know, but I see. But this is what he's talking about.
It was weird.
But you see, to me, that's governmental work versus socialization work, right? To me, for example, that would be like, for example, going to like City Hall.
Yes, City Hall.
You see what I'm saying? Like going to that event, to me, I'm seeing that more of us being representative of the Moorish nation. Though maybe I guess I'm now seeing what you're saying is just more of us as a bunch of Moors going
Yeah,
to an
because
event.
it's an event that may have a tie to the nation, but you're going there, it could be for entertainment, it could be for socializing.
No, but watch, on the counter side of
There's
that,
always a proper purpose.
but to the counter side of that, would 20 of us be going to the nightclub on Friday night?
Well, it's a...
Well, you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying, the difference between...
Go hang out right now. There's nothing in the nightclub.
You see what I'm saying? Like, to me, I think that there's a certain...
Yeah, we need
There's
to
a certain
see.
aspect, certain dynamic when you're coming out as a nation versus just coming out as...
Yeah, we can go hang out, definitely.
Lying.
You got to be mindful of where you are.
And what you're representing.
Because you're representing the nation at particular events, negative or positive.
And the prophet made mention of that in his warning, talking about certain Moors going into the alleyway, into the bars,
Yes.
with the fezzes on. See, the prophet has been through it all,
Yeah.
so he's spoken about that.
Yeah.
You couldn't be at an event where there were people drinking and carousing and doing that stuff as Moors. That would not be the proper spirit. So that's where, as I said, starting to create events that it would be Moorish, there would be a Moorish paradigm.
Well, for the family.
Well, or just on a different.
Islam.
I have a couple things to address. One is member involvement. That's actually my main focus today. And what I want to see more of is what went on today, but not in terms of adjudication or having tribunals necessarily. It's just member involvement. So today what happened was historical, really. Okay, we had one jurisdiction of Moorish Americans, right? We had Seth Ross the phone as the mediator. We had a grand body. We had representatives of the grand body. You know what I mean? We had the accused put on the record. We had the accused notified, etc. We had you notified. We had bailiff watching the door.
This is governmental process.
This is government, and so this is huge. You know what I mean? So in a way, today's been, it's been very interesting. It's been progress in a sense.
And just to,
and so what I want to I want to keep that momentum, and I want to know what you guys want. I want to know what you see for the nation, and I also want to keep you up to date with what we do in the adult chamber, because what I realize is that there's an aspect of sort of a separation there. So for me, I'm busy all the time with work. But I'm always online. I'm always, I have my phone just because of work all the time. So there's ways for us to communicate as a body remotely. So whether it's GoToMeeting, WhatsApp, all of those I use, all those apps, all those technologies I use, I'm familiar. So just email, whatever. But it's good when we can sort of organize a time and have either a conference call or a WhatsApp meeting and have you involved in government. Without you involved in government, it's not a republic. Without you involved in government, it's not what they call it, they're democratic, right? You have to be involved the way you were today. So, we can, you guys just, let me know what it is you use, what it is you've ever used to convene with another group of people to discuss things, right? Because you have to discuss with me as your chairman. So when I sit in the adult chamber, I can say this is what the grand body says, right? Otherwise, there's that disconnect. Okay.
And just to counter back on what he was saying, one of the ideas that we were bouncing around in the adult chamber is we would be sitting here, as let's say town hall meeting, we'd have a Skype, and we would have Philly Regency in town hall meeting. And then all of a sudden there would be a component of an inter-regency connection going on, and we would have a building process. And so these kind of things, because this is what this nation is about, building the nation. You have so-called the black nation, but we know that's dead. And that is dead, because when I was thinking about today with the NBA stuff, it's like here they are, they're always espousing this sports stuff and people dribbling. How come we don't have a national all-star for business, for education, for learning? How come this shit is always in this certain dynamic? You see what I'm saying? Like I started to ask myself questions. And one of the things, they had the same as an Ashkenazi Jew up there is Jeff Silver, who's the new, they always have these guys up there, who's the new NBA commissioner talking about Dr. Naismith, who created this game to keep the youth occupied. And I thought it was a very telling statement, because what I realized was, what would we be doing if we could truly fly? Right? What they've got to do is they've got to fly on a little court, being watched, being basically merchandised, still being controlled. I always used to think about this. This is even before I came to this movement. So you go to school, you learn history, you learn law, you learn all that stuff. What if they were teaching us about, what if they were teaching us quantum physics? What if they were teaching us the real sciences? Where would we go? All of this has been done properly to keep us in a certain place, in a certain area. Right? So I see this, that's where I bring to this, and what I see. I see what's happened is, because I was reading, and I think it was Jose Clemente's book, talking about what the Roman Catholic Church, part of what their doctrine was to keep your thoughts in a certain area. Right? So if they control your thoughts and control what you're thinking about, then they've got you. Right? So when you get up on a day, rather than thinking about the stars, you're thinking about Jordans.
Yeah, but why aren't we teaching quantum physics?
Exactly. But part of what, you know what I realized? One of the things is this, and this came with my family stuff. If the person who's teaching you doesn't know love, they can't teach love. So part of that is that there has to be that knowledge to begin with. I was thinking about this too. How can I learn brain surgery if the person who's teaching me doesn't know brain surgery? Right? So that's part of it.
Interesting question, because if you look around this room, and I'm sure if we did a poll, I'm sure every single person in this room has some sort of a skill or a talent that they can impart to the rest of us. I'm positive of that. So we can't expect them to teach us anything.
Oh, I never was.
Yeah, because they've been teaching us and look where we are.
Well, that's been part of that's the
To
program.
have things move forward, we're going to have to be our own teachers. And that includes all the academics that we're talking about. We can't just say, well, even when we do send our children to school, when they come home, we still have to teach them some more because they're not getting everything that they're supposed to get at school. So yeah, we have to start teaching each other.
Another point I wanted to do is just to get you guys up to date with some of the things that we've set up as the adepts. one thing we're gonna do is to have the Canaanland laws collated and written, right, and added to the nationalization process. Alright, so these laws are the laws of your regional government, okay? And we've already put certain laws in effect. However, we do obviously have to write them down in order to distribute them and let you guys be aware of them and have you review them, right, and get back to us. We want to send out notice to Trudeau and his cabinet, as this is a new administration for that corporation, right? So this is a different set of people that we're dealing with. And next, and to add to that too, in that chamber we're discussing it, is we sometimes we look at the government and we look at people in positions of trusteeship. So whether it's prime minister or governor general, mayor, etc. We try to address those people, and that is one way of handling it. That's your birthright, and that's a national process. However, there's also an administrative process. And the administrative process that governments use to inform their Congress, their meetings of trustees, are committees. Right? So if we're really serious about this, and it just occurred to me, so in the Adab chamber we haven't even gotten to it, but what I realized personally, I think, is to address these committees. And they have them listed. So in the city of Toronto, there's committees. Government of Canada, there's committees. The committees are made up of, so city of Toronto, the committees are made up of the council members, but not every council member is in the committee of Parks and Recreation. It's only a select number. And then a select number in the committee of Aboriginal Affairs, and a select number here and a select number there, right? So after you continue to send out your letters to the individuals, to Harper, to the mayor, etc., because that puts it on the record, it puts it on squarely on that person's shoulder about who we are. But in terms of getting things done, you don't get things done by sending letters to people who never respond to you, right? So the committees are how you get in and get things done, right? And once we're continuously doing this, governing ourselves, and when we enter into those venues, we have stability, we have that solid foundation that's unshakable, right? And that's power, right? So because when that's perceived by the people in those jurisdictions, if they're down, you're going to see them come and assist us, and if they're not, then they're going to fear us, and that's it, and that's how it works. And our allies are out there waiting, but if we're not doing things properly, they're not going to want to interact with us and work with us. We want to know if there's any other. I want to know if there's any other things that you guys want to discuss. Any motions, like you said. We've done the parliamentary procedure. We went through that. I don't know if anybody was here about how we do that. We wouldn't do that today. We're kind of running out of time, but this is the idea, right? So in the parliamentary procedure, if we were, if I set up a time and there's 10 of you called in, right? Called in the chairman, then we could go through this, and what we do, just you and me, is government, right? In order to, if we decide we want a new law, you guys, not them, you guys, right? And I'm on the line, then as long as it's through this procedure, then we basically made a law. Now, is it completely official yet? Well, it's just a matter of having enough people vote on it, right? Having me witness it, and then I bring it to the Grand Sheik, and the Grand Sheik said, well, yeah, that makes sense. It's in line with the land constitution and bylaws. It doesn't go against the laws of the land, etc. There's that next law, right? And then that activity is power, right? That activity is something that no group of people on the planet has at this present time. Only Moorish Americans, right? As the prophet said, This is the only true salvation for all Asiatics to depend upon for the earthly salvation.
What,
Right?
what are you talking about here? Parallels.
I'm talking about governance. I'm talking about the creation of laws in which we govern ourselves.
Okay, you guys as the body coming and creating motion and making the changes that you might want to see, which is what sort of is supposedly going on out there, but not really going on because everything's de facto.
So you're talking about the parliamentary steps to be used as
To do
body
to do what we need to do, right? In a way that cannot be rebutted, cannot be argued, cannot be disclaimed.
So it's
Because of what Noble Drug
examples
did.
are here, as he's saying.
I apologize for being
No, please.
not on time. So that's why I missed the few.
Just as examples, to adjourn a meeting, I move that we adjourn the meeting. This is sort of the procedural protocol that you would do, that he's talking about setting.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
yeah.
Okay. There's one point that came up. Again, I'm hoping, I don't want to, stretch this out. Just, I'm listening and I'm like assessing things as like listening. There's one point, this brought about, which I think is something noteworthy, and that is, there's a certain sense of being overwhelmed, especially when one is in, what seems to draw brothers and sisters to this, which is necessary, is they often find themselves in a situation which needs to be addressed, urgent with urgency. And then if a brother or a sister is around that can assist, that helps them through the process, there's a certain sense of gratitude. But then as it develops, the person then begins to realize that, okay, there's more to it. I've now got to learn to do things for me. And there's a certain sense of being overwhelmed, which is what the brother expressed. Now, I'm always in the process of trying to find ways of addressing complexity in steps to where you reach the point of having full knowledge. One of the things that I sense there's a lack of, and I could be wrong because I'm kind of jumping in the middle of what has been going on before, is what steps should one take? And I guess that would come based on one's knowledge and knowing. What step do we take? I'm at this point where what's the next step I should take in terms of moving forward, right? One of the things that just came up, which is why I'm speaking, is, and it was just broadly discussed, and that is the whole question of where our education, what that has really been preparing us for, which is really nothing, and that we really realize that we need to educate ourselves or re-educate ourselves. And there is, and I have to shake my head at that in a positive sense. Positive meaning, it's a negative thing, but you're right. The way we have been fed over the years is not really to help us grow, but it's to keep us in a particular box. Right? And the box is big enough to make it seem like it's everything, but it's still the box. It's just a bigger box. Right? So it's to get us to see beyond that box. And we are critical in speaking for any brothers is our lack of being exposed to all forms of, this is science, I say all forms of knowledge of doing things, and it's very limited. We're limited to sports, liberal arts, things like that. That is good, but it's not enough. You know, we haven't built a car yet, we haven't built rockets yet, we haven't, there's people that are doing it. Why are we doing it? There's no reason why we shouldn't be doing it.
Islam. But I think,
well, I'm just kind of giving it to the broad sense of the reasons.
I think part of Noble Duali's program was for us to recognize that the distinction between humanity is that there's
Asiatics, and then there's Europeans. So when we say we haven't built a car yet, we have if we look at everybody else as Asiatics that looks like us. Opposed to, quote unquote dark skinned African looking people and then Chinese people and then not looking like we're not brothers with them.
Yeah.
Or, Hindus or whatever, looking at them, or they're separate people from us or whatever like that.
Right.
Those are our people too.
Right.
So our thing is to have our people on the mindset where we can look at these people as our
Big part of the
as
family.
a big part of the family,
Yeah.
so that we can approach them, right? But the issue that we've had, like you said, with the education, is that they don't want to deal with us with Negro mindsets.
Yeah.
They never will.
Yeah.
So there creates that separation that we see and think that it's that's how it is, but it's not really how it is.
Yeah.
Because if you speak with somebody like brother Sheldon L, that he designs shoes and stuff like that, and he goes all over the world. When he deals with other Asiatics, they bring him in like he's their brother because he has a Moorish mindset. He doesn't think like a black man,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? When he engages them and they question him on, well, can I call you black or should I call you something different? Let's him know that they know the mentality that it takes for us to be, recognized, appreciated, looked at as, part of the family, right? Noble Dwelling said for the Moors to get a good European education, and then I can use you. Because, the Europeans were taught by the Moors.
Yeah.
So they don't really have their own type of thing that, they have, and then we can't take what they got, you know what I mean? So just like what Sister Mocha's saying, that, all of us have a certain degree of knowledge in different schools of thought, different levels of information that, once we start doing more of this, like Brother Ted was saying, we start coming together more, right? Expressing our minds to each other more, knowing what each other could do more, then we would start doing exactly what the Chinese are doing, the Hindus are doing, where everybody's fending for themselves. And if worse comes to worse, we call to some people over there, yeah, we're so and so, we need whatever assistance. Are you qualified? You got meetings that go on, yeah, okay, let's sit down in meetings, see how your meetings run. What for? You guys seem to know what you're doing. How about we put something into making your situation better? How about it's not something that's going to happen overnight. You know what I mean? It's a process that we have to go through.
But let Sister Mocha talk. Then you have something that I have because I wrote down exactly what I think, and I have a response.
Well, I think there's a response as well. When we speak about how other nations have flourished and we haven't, I understand that we are all Asiatics, whether we're Hindus, as you said, whether we come from different parts of the world. We're still Asiatics, or different parts of the earth, I should say. However, none of the others has been denationalized the way we have. None of the others have had their cultures, their languages, etc. taken from them. When you look at somebody from, and I was speaking about this to a Japanese friend of mine the other day because I'm a Buddhist, and there are a lot of meetings this month, as we have every month, and I said, well, it's going to be difficult for me to get to some of these Buddhist meetings because it's Black History Month. And she thought, well, yeah, you're probably going to go and support. I said, no. I said, we as Moors have an obligation to debunk this Black history business that goes on every year. And she didn't quite get it. I said, okay, she's from Japan. I said, supposing foreign occupiers came into your country and everybody else came from all over the world into Japan. And every other person that came into Japan from outside of Japan had a nationality. And these foreign occupiers told you as a Japanese person whose people have been there since, time immemorial, that you were a yellow person. And that's when she died, So nobody else has been denationalized the way you can talk about people that are from all over who are also Moors and Asiatics, but they have their culture, they have their language, they have their history intact. We don't. So we've been dealt that hand. Now, it's not to say we're going to use that as a crutch and say, oh, poor us, we can't do it. No, not at all. We just have a tougher road to hoe. It's that simple. And we have to do the work.
And this time we actually have a nation to put our history back into, because like inventing cars and stuff, we had the Pattersons, and it was a so-called black organization that was, their cars was worth more than the Cadillacs and Fords or whatever at that time. Except their history got assimilated into the Europeans' history, so a lot of our history the past couple of hundred years they kind of like we contributed to them. So it's not like we haven't been doing a lot of stuff, it's just that now that we're awakened, we kind of put on the road to where we need to be. At least now we'll start seeing, what we really did do and stuff.
Yeah, if I may make a small correction of whatever in terms of what I'm trying to communicate here. I refer to the fact that many of us have been placed in a bigger box. There's the us and there's the them, which in fact it's all of us. I just want to make sure that I'm getting what I'm saying clearly across. So, but I'm fully cognizant of what you're saying, because of what we as Asian people have done. But the educational system has boxed. Let me be very specific. People in the English-speaking have severely boxed in. Understand that who's coming from the outside, then you see it. If you're in it, you don't see it. I can see it because I come from the outside in it. And the first thing I was told when my mathematics science and all of you, just get strong with subject. The first thing I was told when I entered.
Can you just hold?
You're severely boxed in. I'll give an example. When I came was just at the time when I was getting ready to go to secondary school.
Okay.
This. Sorry. All this happens. And so I'm entering secondary school. Science is the strongest subject, and because I didn't speak English perfectly yet, my English teacher found it very strange that I do so well in the area of physics and other stuff, and not in English. Never bothering to question as to why it is I was strong in all these other subjects, but weak in English. He equated that to me loving the white man's subjects. That sent a very strong message to me. Okay? And if he's telling me that, and I'm looking at it as an outsider, imagine what damage he's already done to his students by saying, if you study science, you're a white man. It's like if you speak English in a particular way, you're somehow whitey.
That's right.
Okay? And so that's that's where the confusion lies. And this is a teacher who is affecting students who are going to become lawyers and doctors later on. And I've actually had an opportunity to follow one individual who grew up in that system. And to this day, he's been my hardest nut to crack in terms of getting him to see that he has to really think outside the box. He's really boxing. He grew up in a Catholic, grew up in a Catholic institution. He did well, I mean, as a student. And to the point that he was even thinking of becoming a priest at one time. But to try and get him to see what we're fully aware of, it has been really a stress on me. And if I can break him, then I know the rest is easy. But it's to get an understanding of how much, what type of indoctrination and how it was done, you know. And that was just one example. So everything we were taught, it's like a so-called Jew being in Germany and then at the end of the war going to a German school. They're not going to teach them what needs to be learned in order to excel, but rather what will keep them within a certain confinement in terms of their thinking and growth. So it is, you know, a lot of the problem begins within the church and the school environment.
Yeah, 100%. Did you want to, I thought you wanted to the crime. That was to his initial question when he was talking about a person coming into this with being overwhelmed by the knowledge, and then where he would sort of start off. I thought that's what that was.
Yeah.
So I was just holding
back.
Well,
what I was going to say, what I find is a lot of the schools here are church schools.
But you're speaking exactly.
And from what I know, and I haven't been to the schools here, but from what I know in my own teenage years growing up, if it's a church school, it's going to be a very difficult job to get those people who grew up, who were taught there to see what you're.
That's because of the conditioning and indoctrination that you mentioned.
Yeah.
I think that you have touched on, because obviously when I listen to you, I realize that you've done some of your own sort of active thinking. Did you, because you were first, did you want to respond initially? Because I think when he was asking about where he would go, he was asking a sense of, he was talking about feeling overwhelmed, and then where he would start.
Yeah, because I don't have the material.
But I have a beautiful answer for that, but I wanted you, because I saw you, and then you just finish with him, and then you deal with this.
Good. So just briefly, I just want to say that you mentioned a good point that the other religions have their schools. So the Eastern, Sunni and Shia Muslims have schools.
Yeah.
Those schools are both full day, elementary and secondary schools, as well as after school program schools.
Yeah.
Catholic schools, all day schools as well, after programs. And so building that structure, not necessarily the brick and mortar, but that structure, that is crucial. That is crucial, and the value of that, unfortunately, is going to be easier to see later on than now. However, we have to, put the value into, like I said, the things we do, as a body, so that young people coming up, hopefully they can see that internal value. You understand what I'm saying? They can see the value simply within amongst ourselves, not necessarily what you can gain or dodge out there, right? That's always secondary, right? So part of learning what goes on here is, again, obviously learning governmental structure, learning etymology, learning all of these more sciences which they may not be taught in the schools, and learning them perhaps in ways that they may not be taught, so that it's better understood and better retained. Right?
Yeah.
So I had an answer to that, because you were saying that initially people coming into this would usually come into this from a sort of an I need position. You know what I mean? Like I'm in court, I'm desperate, I'm whatever.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, us as a people have been made desperate and have been caught in this, right? But one of the responses that I know is that before I came to this 6 years ago, I was going to a lawyer. I was going to the so-called people who were holding me down. Huh? Look at this. Yeah. I was going to the so-called people that were holding me down to look for answers. As I've evolved and realized that going black and nigger, that these weren't the terms, what I realized is where he was coming at this from, which was from the fact that I'm looking for some saving hand or grace from this. What I have realized is that there's a component to that, and that may be my initial sort of thing that's pulling me in. But ultimately, what I would look at this is if those are the things that I'm needing to sort of solve, then what the prophet said is you solve those as you can at that point. And then what happens is once you've dealt with those things, let's say you're in a position where things aren't hanging over your head, some kind of government ordinance department of God hanging over you, then what I would do in this overwhelming situation is look to what things speak to you, what things motivate you, what things move you, what things do you want to see a change in? Because what we've realized is our whole structure, I look at it like a glass of water that they dropped like this little food dye in, and the whole thing has been tainted. So now I'm looking at how I can then, whatever speaks to me, whatever way the water runs with me, I'm going to start looking at bringing that back to my own people. That's going to come from me also learning, because I've also been in a state where I had to denationalize, where my mother taught black history. My mother taught black history, and she was about black power. She's up in RS right now, one of the places we taught. She's up in RS right now as one of the Black History Teachers of the Month. And I tried to speak to her on that. She says, you weren't there with black power. And I realized that there are certain people that you're not going to be able to change. And just like this gentleman here talking about what you're dealing with is you're dealing with decades of indoctrination. You're also dealing with the fact that for someone to let go of that, they've got to have somewhere to go. Right? So unfortunately the process in my mind comes within. But the first process usually comes from, if you come into this under a situation like our brother did here, where there's something hanging over his head, the prophet, and that's why it's so important to listen to the prophet, because remember the prophet is a sort of direct word or line from God, or from the Creator. And what the Creator said is you deal with those things at that present time, in that present situation. Moving forward, you deal with everything in that free national concept. And that's how we try to delineate the line from getting yourself into too much trouble, trying to sort of deal with too much. And as I said, when you get to a point where maybe you can sit up and breathe a bit, that's when we then start looking at how can I, if this is where your true passions are, how can I further things? That's what this is all about. In school, you would then say, okay, I'm going to teach on Mondays and I'm going to teach on English, so-called, or I'm going to teach on quantum physics. And this is what you do, and then you build up the nation. Same way the Chinese or the Indians have their schools and those things. That's what we need. We don't have those things, and they've made sure to do those things. Right? So that would be my answer to the brother.
It's just like Moorish elders have, in our coming into this, that Moorish elders have said that, this is not about coming together to deal with issues. You know what I mean? Like we're not saying we're Moors to deal with issues that we got out there. We're saying that we're Moors to build unity amongst ourselves. We're saying that we're Moors so that we can, go to barbecue, eat some food or something like that. You know what I mean? We're saying that we're Moors so we can live our lives as good citizens. You know what I'm saying? We're not in this to get off charges. We're not in this because taxman is saying that I owe 50,000, so I need to get together with the Moors to get off my tax issue. That's not what we're coming into this for. And if we're coming in with that mindset that we're coming in here to get off of something, then you clearly don't know what this is about. You know what I mean? If somebody's pushing you that being involved in this is to get off of something, don't listen to what them people are saying. Because that's not what this is about. You know what I mean? This is about living by the 5 principles. You know what I mean? First principle being love. You know what I'm saying? And one of them bounces off on the other, and we're not even supposed to get to justice. As soon as we get freedom, we're supposed to go back to love again. Justice is the last resort.
Justice is
if
a
we
result
get
of
there.
those things that didn't happen.
Right? But if we don't get through those four principles, then yeah, most definitely justice is going to take its course. And that's not going to happen from Moors. Allah is going to be the one that's going to institute justice if justice is going to be laid down on something. You know?
And sorry to just interrupt for half a second. And that's what's happening with us right now. That's the justice that we're receiving for not living at that level.
For not living to that standard.
That is the justice.
Because I find it so I see why, I understand why it's happening, but there's no need for us to be in this situation where we're constantly dealing with the justice system.
Yes.
Because, I mean, I've been here for like, how many years? Like, maybe, let's say for the last 35 years. What justice system? What kind of
That's the question.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Exactly.
So, and then most, like...
And most people that are that we would consider elders would have that same mentality. Right? Like my parents say the same thing. What are you talking about? Jail and stuff like that. What do you mean jail? I never seen a jail ever in my life. What's jail? What's a ticket? I never got a ticket before ever. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
Because the frequency is different. Not only on our part, but also on the people who are occupying. They change how they deal with us on one-on-one. Now they got 208 cards. Anybody who they stop, you need to give me your name and all that stuff, or we're gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kidnap you.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of whether you're 80 or 2 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They got there was a video going around of like a youth man, like 6 in handcuffs or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they figured that, he's a threat or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Right? Well, that's not really what's going on. You know what I mean? We and again, it comes back to that thing of why it is that we do what we do. Noble Drew Ali came 100 years ago and laid down certain things that we said, we don't need him. We don't need what Noble Drew Ali brought. We got Garvey brought. We got what Elijah Muhammad brought. We got what Malachi York brought. We got what Ben Amin brought. We got what all these pastors, preachers got. We don't need no prophet, and now we're complaining about what we're going through. When, he was the only one that was sent by Allah to these Asiatics in North America to teach them about these principles, teach them learn to love instead of hate, teach them all these things that if we would listen to those stuff back then, right now we wouldn't be having no problems.
But you see, where I have a problem is that I don't get beat up for what I try to do on my own among my own. But I get beat up by my own more than the people that that's why Drew Ali told you that it's your own brother that's going to put you in slavery. And so I have a bigger struggle with my own than I have with the quote-unquote so-called authorities. Because they're doing all of that.
And this is why, that's why we beat up on Black History Month every February. Because it's not about, those people aren't our own. Our own are Moorish Americans. That's what our own are. Just like Chinese own are Chinese. And only Chinese people go to the Chinese food. You don't see no Chinese people going to real jerk and stuff like that, but they're going to go eat something. We're the only ones that want to sell out our own stuff to go dibble and dabble in everybody else's stuff, right? But then when it's time for us to do our own stuff, then people play a race card on us. You know what I mean? But logically they should, because black people don't have no culture. What are you talking about? You got culture, soul food, stupid stuff like that. That ain't no cultural stuff. That's slave stuff. Ain't nobody respecting that. But you start talking about Moroccan tea, Ceylon tea, and stuff like that. You start talking about, we got Buddhist beads and stuff like that. Oh, now they recognize that you're attaching yourself to something that's legitimate. You're not playing this game of wanting people to accept uncivilized behavior as civilized. and then get mad when people don't accept it. You know, it's like we were talking about with what's her name with the Super Bowl. You know, but she represented Black Panthers. Black Panthers don't wear batty riders. The female Black Panthers wore skirts to their knees.
Yeah, she's desecrated that whole.
Anybody repping that as no Black Panthers? Anybody who really reps Black Panthers know that that was some BS. Especially that when if you look at the apparent, you see, you know, black leather or whatever, afros or whatever. Okay, but the background you see rainbow flags everywhere. How come there's rainbow stuff in the background of some Black Power demonstration?
Yeah, but that would only be, that may also be a benevolent thing for what we do there, but if you look at her history, in how she presented herself in previous shows, it's all devilish.
Yeah.
200%. But that's the whole other part of it. The part two, what they've done is they've put the black sort of jail guards or those people that are supposedly speaking for us. Those are all agents. Those are all people. Anything that you're watching out there that's put on that TV has been orchestrated. Right, so we know that. But anyways, I think we've got it's 2 minutes to 2.
Yeah,
so we can pick this up again next town hall meeting or next meeting, right? This is what this is about.
And also to put it out there, for the Moors, when is your next town hall meeting?
Doesn't have to be decided right now.
The chairman's here to document the date. This is yours. It's not our town hall meeting. This is your town hall meeting. So amongst yourself, a month, you know, tentative date, you know what I mean? So we can work towards making sure that there's another one. Because again, this town hall meeting, we call it again. And it's not our duty to be calling, it's not chairman's duty to be calling your town hall meetings for you to present what needs to be addressed as far as you're concerned. You know what I mean?
And part of this town hall meeting was caught up with some other stuff, right? But technically, we would sit here, there would be maybe a couple more hours, and we could set some things up. But this is back on you. This is the competency stuff, right? You stepped away, unfortunately, for your phone. But this is where I was saying that what would happen, you were asking particularly about, where do I go from here? What speaks to you? What is it that speaks to you? You know, when you were here at one of the classes 2 weeks ago, we were speaking on some stuff that I found very interesting on the different words, or court, or whatever, mine. I'm just as an example, I'm saying that whatever's speaking to you, that's where you would head off in that direction, right off the top, right? As an example. And then what would happen is you may have, when things would finally progress where you're in your own nation, you would then maybe have class on Monday. Every Monday, 3 hours a day, you'd be teaching the up and coming youth about that.
Yeah.
And then you would be further learning, and then what would happen is that would open up the etheric channel, and then your knowledge would, right? So, because in the beginning, just like you, I was overwhelmed.
I was personally referring to myself.
No, I know you were, but I was answering that question from the perspective of you speaking for someone in that perspective. So I was giving you back I was trying to give you back an answer to that. Part of the beginning part to that was having the right teacher, right? Because from the perspective of coming out of this from the beginning, some teacher saying this is how you get off on some shit. Or this is what this is about, that's the problem. The next line to that thinking is, you're not supposed to be in that shit.
How about throughout some days, about March 27th or?
Well, the issue is, I think you were here, right? Because remember, I'm looking to have that thing, the vernal equinox, on the exact, and that you should push it into April. Just because we have February for the Black History, then we're going to have one event in March. But I mean, that's 6 weeks away, right? That's what we're talking about, or just a month away, right? Because it's February 15th now, so you're looking at 6 weeks.
Oh,
But February, because you were saying March 27th, right? That's basically going to be less than 6 weeks, right?
So basically you've made a motion. That's the parliamentary documentation.
Right.
You've made a motion for March
27th Sunday.
Okay.
Or April 24th on a Sunday.
Does anyone second the motion?
Does anyone second that motion?
I second the April date.
So you second
April.
So that's counter to what he's motioning.
No, he said 2 dates. He said March or April 24th.
March or April 24th. So we have to settle on a particular date.
Well, vote the second of the April.
You seconded April 24th?
Third April.
Okay,
That's
so
Alright, fourth,
the motion that we consider, okay? So April, what's the date? April what?
24th.
April 24th? That's a Sunday, April 24th. So let's put it to question. All those in favor of April 24th, say aye, or hands up. Okay,
Alright,
alright, so by the show of hands, the vote has been, passed. We'll have April 24th as the date for the next town hall meeting.
We'll keep you,
the time
as to where,
as
the time and where.
And what I'd like to do is have you guys just come by one more time. I know Amari has an email list, but what I want is name and contact for when we have meetings, membership meetings. So even though we have a town hall coming up, that's physically to be somewhere. If we can start having conference calls or chats or whatever in between those times. And to prepare for those times.
We still need attendance for today as well too.
And yeah, so this could act as attendance. So what you can do after we're all done is just come by, name, one, even if it's 2 or 3 different contacts that you can put, and then what I have here is the different apps and mediums that I use to stay in touch with people on a group basis that you subscribe to, that you have as well. Just put your name underneath it beside it. Okay.
yeah, prayer, close out. Face the east that way.
Yeah.
Father on the left, two on the right. Allah, Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace.
Freedom.
And justice. Allah is my protector. My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. Through his holy prophet. Noble True Ali. Islam.